would say, Ambassador Sanchez, you can see that Tom is a good friend of mine. This mic is working? Could I use it? I will move it. So, it's almost that I don't know how to begin. Because I think first of all, I am not able to do anything by myself, first of all. And sometimes, you know, when I see, oh, this man is humble, or this one, or this sister, this brother, and I think for me, it's not very difficult to be humble if I see honestly myself, you know, because we're so far, and I am so far from where we should be since we met two parents. The very simple but deep question that raised President Young Wee Kim is we can pray about many things, and we can pray about the world, everything, but in a sense we should pray about ourselves and see where we are since we met two parents. And I couldn't help but to think, it's like I feel I didn't really begin yet to be the person I am supposed to be for father and for true parents. So I'd like to begin by these few remarks because that's really what I feel. It's not anything else. That's what I feel. So let's go back a few months ahead. So I was in Guatemala, and then I was trying to help some program on social services and others. As you saw yesterday, we have a social arm in Causa that we call World Services. So I was over, and you know, I'm traveling quite a bit, so I am very careful with my things, because you know, when you change always your environment, you cannot assume that you don't have to get too spaced out, so to speak, and especially with your physical things. So I always be very careful whether if I bring a camera or, of course, my passport, my plane tickets, and so forth. And I usually just keep it always with me because you know, I know it's very problematic if I lose it. And then I was with the president of the Lions Club of Guatemala, and then they invited me to go to Chinese activity of the one department of the Lions Club, and they told me, why don't you leave your camera in the trunk, you know? And then, you know, like when you guessed. So I was kind of hesitating, so no problem, you just leave it. Also, it's what I did. And when we came back after lunch, there were nothing in the trunk. So, and the problem was that I have my camera, that's one thing, but I have also my passport, and which means for us foreigners to United States means a visa, and as you do know, maybe it's very, very difficult to get a visa, but that's nothing compared to the third world country, and it's almost impossible to get a visa over there. So then I felt something important is preparing, and I determined myself to even don't be bothered about it, to take responsibility and to restore, but just don't have any give and take with any worry feeling. I just had to look a little embarrassed in front of you know, the president and everybody else, otherwise they would think he's crazy, or if he doesn't care, so what should we care? So, and then it's at that time that I received a phone call, I believe from Tom, saying, look, father decided full, complete mobilization of the American movement, and he told me, I am not sure that we still exist as an organization. So I said, my God. So I said, maybe, okay, because International doesn't exist, what's next? and he told me, you know, all seminarians, they have to go city leader. That's Father's design. All seminarians, city leader for 3.5 years. So I said, well, that's quite a change, but okay, let's unite. And then I realized that I have to go back to the United States, so I have to get a visa. So even if it's a problem, I have to do everything and to go back. So it's what I did. And when I arrived in New York, I had such a almost uneasy feeling, because the only worry about everybody was to do Father's will. And then they remind me that Father said that if you don't go out this time, don't come back. Just don't come back. Just, you have to go. So I said, I was just wondering what would be my future. And one thing popped up. Because of the importance of the Catholic Church also in the United States, as you may know, 30% of the Christians in the United States are Catholic. And as a single church, is maybe a minority, but still the most powerful group. So, and because a few things that I will explain shortly was, let's say, cooking up, it has been decided that I will go to the Vatican during these 4 months. So I had also a strange feeling at the beginning, because as you may remember, many brothers and sisters came from Europe to the United States. I was the only one going out of the United States to Europe. So I was not sure that it was the right thing, to tell you the truth, at the beginning, but still I went. And I went over there, and when I arrived over there, I had to bring my son. Why? Because you know, wives, they had to go out also. But you know, the regional leader set up some rules. So the regional leaders, most of them say just one child, and we have two. So she said, okay, my wife completely united with father, means that she gave me one child and she told me see you in 4 months. So I said, so I had to do something with my child. So I said, well, I still have to go over there, so I don't know who will inherit my child, but let's bring him to Europe. I had to also to pay his trip, and we are not that rich. So we went to Iceland, and it was still very hot in New York. So when we arrived in Iceland, I went outside of the plane, and it was freezing. It was really cold. Why I'm saying that? Because I caught a cold, and I became a little sick. So in meanwhile, you know, finally Pierre Serac, that you all know, said, okay, we take your child, you know, just don't worry about it, and it will be our contribution to the mission in the United States. So I was very pleased that he didn't ask me for anything, no money, just took him and then making part of the family. So much so that when I came back, my son was calling Pierre, Papa Pierre. That was okay, that was okay. And he really liked it very much. So then I could leave my child, and I went to Rome. I like maybe for your own information to tell you something about the Catholic Church that you may not be aware of. Can you help me with the... How many of you know how many Catholic days in the world today? Yeah, okay.
500 million.
500 million. 700 million. 600 million. 800 million. 2,000 million. I don't think so. So actually, according to the recent information, there is 825 million of Catholics in the world. Do you know how many, is it the biggest region in the world, or the second, or the third, or what? Huh? The second? Who is first? Islam. Everybody agrees?
Yeah.
You all drunk. No, actually, that's the biggest religion in the world. You have 500 Islamic people in the world, 400 Hinduism, and afterwards, you have, do you know how many Protestants you have in the world? 300?
400.
Huh? Actually, it's pretty close. You have 340 million. What about Orthodox?
160 million.
How many?
100 million.
Close, 140 million. So as you can see, the Catholic Church is the biggest religion who ever existed in the face of the earth. So we do know also there is some particularity to it. And one of the particularities, and for me it's really representing the Cain side and more like medieval side, so to speak, is very hierarchical oriented. And as you know from the Protestant churches, doesn't emphasize so much the leadership, but more like the personal aspect with the personal salvation. As a result, it's very difficult. Do you know, for instance, who is the leader of the Methodist Church in your country? Or do you know? Eh? It's very difficult because it doesn't really represent a powerful figure. But however, if you know, I am sure that you all know who is the cardinal in your country, the cardinals, or the main Catholic leaders. Why? Because they're truly representing an authority. So then, I like to define a bit more let's say, the chain of command within the Catholic Church. So let's begin with parishes. What's the next step? Diocese. All the parishes, a group of parishes together. The diocese. And then? Archdiocese. Yes.
Archdiocese.
This is like compared to province, we will say, and the group of province or archdioceses together are under the Episcopal Conference. So the body who is like watching over all these different classifications is the Episcopal Conference. And the Episcopal Conference is formed with all bishops of the country. So all bishops in one country belong to the particular Episcopal Conference. Every year they vote the president, the vice president, and the secretary general. So the decisions are made by this body when there is some particular cases. And then when this particular body publish a letter, official letter, which we call episcopal or pastoral letter, it has the value of a document. So, for instance, if in England or in France, like it happened in 75 or 76, the Episcopal Conference of France published a letter against Unification Church, for instance. This is an official document of the the Catholic Church, which can be used anywhere in the world. Because theoretically speaking, they have to check with the Vatican before to publish this kind of document. So, and do you know, on world level, what is the body of the headquarters of the Catholic Church? Do you have any idea? The Vatican. Yeah. The Vatican, first of all, to really understand the Vatican, we have to understand that it has different levels, and if we don't think about it, we may get confused ourselves. For example, as you may know, the Pope will visit, Gorbachev will visit the Pope, I believe, in October or September. From a religious point of view, it doesn't make any sense. But the Vatican is a nation, a sovereign nation, when you go to the Vatican, you are in another country. Many people in the Vatican, they have a passport. And one of the best, I would say, example of that, the Vatican is part of the 120 Holy Ground blessed by Father in 65. Sorry. So, because it's a sovereign nation, you have different levels. And one level, I would say, to relate to the others is diplomatical level. Another level will be like political. And the other level, the Catholic Church is also the headquarters and the central headquarters of the Catholic Church worldwide. So when you go to the Vatican, it's like a world, and of course a nation. In order to relate to the countries, the Vatican do that through the Secretary of State. And exactly as the Secretary of State is served to have relationship with the other countries, and also to be able to regulate and to coordinate the different efforts of what we call dicasteries, which are like ministers of government and different secretaries and officers who serve as a functionary of the Vatican. We call dicasteries. And the relationship with the Vatican and the other country is being done through the nunciature. And what is the nunciature? This is the Vatican embassy. So I made had this experience to go and visit the nuns in some countries, and we have to understand and to be careful to his position, because he's a diplomat, so he will not enter with anything which deals with politics in the country in which he is. So it's a very, very difficult and delicate position, but it also allows the Vatican to be able to have an official representation from a diplomatical point of view in many countries. So through the nunciatures, like the documents and everything is that coordinate. It's like, they say in the Catholic Church, they are like the eyes and the ears of the Pope. So then, these people usually watch out to what they're doing, and usually they don't have, they have to find a good relationship with them in order to be able to have in order to have a good relationship with the Vatican. So I think I forgot somebody. No? The Pope. So the Pope, as you know, is elected by the cardinals, and is elected for life. He's had quite a bit of power, but however, he has to really respect the different structures. But if he's clever enough, like this Pope, he knows how to change without hurting too much the present situation. So that's the way basically it works. So you see, like when you visit somebody in the parish, they say, well, I cannot do anything. I have to ask my bishop. Sometimes there's a vicar here and bishops here. So if my bishop said okay, it will be okay. The bishop said, well, let's see with the Episcopal Conference. And the Episcopal Conference, they have to watch with the nunciature what they are doing. Otherwise, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then through one of the dicasteries here, they will receive a sanction and be removed or have trouble. So as you can see, like, the Catholic Church is really very political. That's just a reality because of the structures. So it's very difficult for somebody to go forward. So it's very difficult for us to be able to make clear inroads. One of the reasons why I went to Rome, there's two reasons. Okay? One reason is 4 of these 24 dicasteries, they are analyzing Unification Church very, very, very closely. and they really know very well everything about us. When I say everything, sometimes much more than you know. That is true. Huh? They really watch carefully. And they don't have necessarily a very negative stand, but they had a very distant attitude. And then at the beginning, yes, when I came over there, they were negative. Yeah, we have to say that was true. So, you know, in January last year, the Secretary of State, through the Secretary of State, was sent a document to the head of the Episcopal Conference, a confidential document about Unification Church. And this was a political move responding to the fact that the University of La Plata from Argentina gave honorary doctorate to Father. So, in a sense, you know, the day after the ceremony in the United Nations, when Dr. Argentino came to see Father and then presented formally the honorary doctorate, Father said, because of what you did, he will bring blessing to Latin America and to the Catholic Church. So I thought the first expression of the blessing was rather peculiar, because from this standpoint on, you may not know, but even if they don't tell you, many priests and bishops are aware about this document. But it's not really an official document, it was a confidential information with really a negative connotation to it, pushing the Catholic leaders and also the laymen to don't participate to our programs. So that's the truth. Right? So then one of my mission was to work with this particular four, or at least with the Vatican, to try to stop negativities, because I was also thinking, with all what we do in the United States, maybe few negative comments or information will go to the Vatican. And there are few people, I met some in the United States, just waiting to send something negative, to have some kind of relevance to the Vatican. They try to find anything like a good platform, what they think, in order to have links with the Vatican. So I met one of them, and he was just wanting to know things about us, to send to the Vatican, from a negative perspective. So we have this kind of people also on our road. So therefore, unless we do something at this level, to try also to inform and to relay, it will be very difficult to just continue our action here. So I will stand over there for the purpose. Maybe I can open. The second purpose was, like everybody else in the United States, this is a very big black ball. Jumbo black ball. So, like all my brothers and sisters, I was in the mobilization period. Mobilization time, so I went to do my 4 months to begin with, without knowing what will happen next. And when I arrived in Rome, first of all, as I told you, I went there, I was sick. I lost my voice, which is pretty big handicap for somebody, that is our instrument, is our voice. So I really lost my voice. I could not speak. And then I have to say two things. First of all, before I say anything else, I have a great love for the Italian family. But I have still to say excuse me. So, because the Italian family so far have been taking some responsibility for the Vatican, they have been sometimes uneasy with the way some international departments related to the Vatican, because if something happens in this place, the first people to have problems will be them. So, and because they understand the intricacy of the Vatican, they're pretty fearful that anybody else coming from especially America, will come and then make a big problem up there. So that's why I believe when I came over there, I was not completely welcome. And I understand it. so no big or hard feelings. I understand it. I understood that, of course, they're wondering what he will be doing. Did he come for 4 months? So then I had to take the bus outside of the airport, and then I choose a very cheap hotel. And I feel, thanks God, I am a pioneer. So I forgot about whatever my mission was before. And then I felt, like every single brother and sister in the United States, I am just on my own. And then, okay, my place is this place. The Vatican is big, but it's small also. So that's my mission. And because I had this sickness, I became a pretty also, I would say, scared. Yeah, that's a good word. Scared because no way to go. No way to go. In order to inspire me, Ambassador Chavez. Who knows Ambassador Chavez? So Ambassador Chavez is, I believe, one of the dearest king children of Father. Father loved him very much. And he's a career diplomat, so he knows it all. He knows it all. And then if you go with him in one country, you will be amazed. Any country that I know so far, he knows more people than that your best friend or your best relation will have. He knows everybody, everywhere. So it's just absolutely amazing person. And because he was, since that long time in the diplomacy, he knows how things work. So when he heard that I was going to the Vatican, he just sent me 2 words. Just 2 words. What's for? What's for? Do you want to educate the Pope? Yes, 4 PhDs. What's for? No way. What do you want to do over there? I said, well. So, and then he said, look, I tell you what you could do. If you were a little smarter, I tell you what you could do. For the Jews, they understood that just after World War II, they have to have a good relationship with the Vatican, right? After they were a state. So they went over there, and then the first thing they understood, they never speak about theology or religion in this place. So they went over there, and then they make an office, friendship, Israel, Catholic, and they make themselves valuable to help. So they went to help this kind of, or do you like to have a car to go from here to there, or what will be your basic need? I know you need this type of book for your library, this type of money for your social actions. So by doing so, they were able to really gain a good relationship with them to the point that they could have some of their people. And he said, the only thing you have to think of, it just will cost you a few millions of dollars. So then he said, but anything else you try to do, he shook his head and said, he made me understand, you're so good and so nice, but you don't really understand what's going on. So I said, then with this kind of a spiritual background and stimulation I was over there, with the special welcoming I had and with my physical state, then I felt completely hopeless. I have to admit, completely hopeless. So what to do in that case? I went in some state to give a testimony. Some people say, well, why don't you sleep? Why don't you eat or you go to movie or anything? So what can we do? What can I do? What would have been your attitude? Praying? Praying? Yeah. When you feel hopeless, miserable, and then very small, what can we do?
Father, when he was
Father?
completely alone.
Yeah, it's becoming pretty conceptual at one point, But that's true, we have to hang on to it.
Witnessing.
Witness. Crying, that's that's a normal thing to do.
For confession.
To eat. That also, actually, that's necessary. Yeah. To serve, yeah. That's something that we think we should do. to make some unity with someone abroad?
Someone.
Go to the cinema by yourself.
Actually, one thing I determined myself, is not to think too much, first of all. And then, second, to keep faith. No matter what, no matter what happened, I just will unite with what Father said. Because, if we think, we were there, I remember, with Tom and Bill and a few others, quite a few others, when Father went right from Phoenix House, when he finished his time, to Belvedere. And then the first thing he said to us, it was 1 o'clock, August 20th, 1:15, he said, I have successfully completed the restoration of the foundation of Christianity. From now on, it's another time, completely another time. And from now on, we are in the same position that 40 years before, like everything is possible. He said, now, no problem, you go over there and then you bring the victory because the foundation is restored. So, I keep that very, very, very deeply in myself, and especially in that moment I said, well, I don't understand, I don't see how, and I just don't want to, I just keep faith, and then what's the second thing to do? After that?
Speak.
To speak.
Go to the church.
Yeah, but the second thing to maybe asking to God, but even in this case, I'm not sure you can feel God or God can listen to you. So what can we do? I think what I did is to set up a condition. I am not enough in the church to understand even if I don't feel anything, if I don't understand anything. At least if I lay a condition, I know like intuitively like something will happen or things will work or change. So I truly keep faith and say, okay, I will make a condition. And then this condition, I decided to make a condition, a special condition. Really a special condition. Why? Because when Father came, and then when we received the holy water ceremony, and when we went through the holy water ceremony, he said that through this particular event, we all raised up to Messiah on the tribal level. So, this kind of thing, I just wanted to believe it and to try to live it. So, therefore, I felt, I know I cannot pretend to be on that level. I know. I just then the only thing I can have and I can do is to set up a condition we can make for my weaknesses, or make for my shortcoming, or my lack of foundation to stand on this level. That's the only thing which can be acceptable to God, and which can free me from worrying too much. Do I do the right thing, or maybe if it doesn't work, it's because it's me or whatever. Then to make a condition as a foundation on a personal level and for the mission. Why also? Because I understood one thing. What told me Ambassador Chavez? I thought a lot about it. Because, and Father spoke pretty much in that term in these recent weeks. We have to achieve success, and we have to understand how it works outside, and we have to be able to make it with our own standards. So when this type of people said, look, you need money, then you have to understand he's speaking because of his experience, and in this place, we need influence, political influence, to have a powerful friend, and we need money. That's the truth. So I thought about it, and then I thought, well, what can I do? What do we have? What do we have? So that very hopeless people, seemingly rejected. But what do we have? What do we have? Yeah, but do you think truth can make up for money? Sometimes yes. Sometimes yes. Also, yeah, some response.
Two parents.
Actually, yeah. And what do we have in the spiritual world? Because politics, money is influence. How to influence people? The heart of influencing people to convince people. So what do we have is the spiritual world. So if we don't believe it, that's a choice. But the reality is if we truly think the highest spiritual world is with us, And if we set up a foundation for the spiritual world to work, then it has to work. No, it has to work. So it's what I thought. Okay, make a foundation to raise you up to the Messiah level, at least on the indemnity condition, and then to move the spiritual world, which is at this level, we have to have some kind of subjective position. Then that's the only way, a foundation which can allow the spiritual world to trust us, and then to be able to work. So it's what I did. And right at the beginning, I could understand something which since then served as a foundation and served me to see the development of our activities. And I always have this came in mind. I can show you what it is. And I showed to President Kim, because he came to Italy during his 4 months. And as you know, President Kim, usually you cannot speak too long with him. You speak within 15, 20 minutes, that's okay. But we stayed 1 hour and a half, and he was really deeply interested, and he took my drawing, and then somehow he agreed with it. So that's why I can share with you. One big mistake of Satan was to take Hongjin in life. It was unbelievable. We still don't really fully understand how far the providence could advance because of this, but that's one big mistake. And I remember it was I think December 30th, 1983, when Father came back straight from Korea to Poughkeepsie Hospital. He went to see Hongjin with Mother, and right after, I think, or the day after, with the children, gathered the family, and they went to the Poughkeepsie Chapel, and there, Father proclaimed unification. No, he offered his own beloved Son for the sake of total unification. And then in this particular ceremony, Father defined 2 or 3 times, once in one prayer and twice in some discourse, what it meant. He said, through this unification ceremony, and when I heard, that many times Father says something, but it doesn't ring a bell, even though we unite and we understand. Many times it's kind of hard to understand, like total unification. Just yes, okay, but hard to understand it. So he said, through this ceremony is a condition for the unification, the unity between God, Father, and Mother. And then the unity between true parents and true family. The unity of the true family with the blessed children. In this order. The unity of the blessed children with the blessed couple. The unity of the blessed couple with Unification Church. The unity of Unification Church with Christianity. The unity of Christianity with the free world or democratical world. And then the unity of the free world with the communist world. So I understood, somehow something was going on. Something was going on. And then on August 16, 1885, Father could do the ceremony of total victory. And he could do so because he sent Eugenie in July and August, just prior to this, 1985, he sent Eugenie to a workshop of the blessed children, and then the second CAP convention in Japan. And Father said that they could unite completely with Eugenie. And doing so, it was the first time that a king and able relationship was fully realized. And through this foundation, for the first time ever, the base of the true parents were settled down. And of course, in the position of the second generation, centered on Eugenie. Because of this victory, Father could proclaim the day of total victory. And one of the most important meaning is now these 3 points between God, true parents, true family, and as you know, through 3 points we can have like a straight line, and now there is like the certainty that the tradition of God and true parents will be perpetuated forever and ever. That is the type of meaning that this total victory has. So it's incredibly important. So, and Father said that because of this realization for the first time, it seems incredible, of unity of Cain and Abel, it will bring incredible unity with our movement. And Father said that some blessed couple in Korea who could not unite for years, because of the unity which begins with their children centered on Eugenie, they could also overcome and begin to unite. So Father said that unity will come in our movement. And on, as you know, on August 20th, Father could do the holy water ceremony, which truly, for me, it's also one of the consequences of the second biggest mistake of Satan, to put Father in jail. That was a mistake that he still don't realize, and we don't realize what it means. But one of the years come, as you do know, Father gave us home church for the purpose to raise us up to the level of tribal Messiah. But when he came back of Danbury, he could offer the holy water ceremony and say that now you can stand on the Messiah position. So much so that you can go back to your own family and just by your own example, being able to reflect the idea of the principle. That's why shortly after, he advises brothers and sisters to go to their family and to visit the ministers and others from their family place. Of course, it doesn't mean that we should not or we will not have to do home church. We have to do home church. There's no question. But we already have inherited the title of tribal Messiah. And further defined, we have, however, to follow a course of 3.5 years. Actually, it was 3 years and 4 months, but a course of 3.5 years. And he said that during that time, we stand on the position of the third generation. But unite with the spirit of the second generation, we can reach Canaan in these 4.5 years. And if we don't succeed to do so, then what will happen if, of course, we lose ourselves in the desert, wilderness, or to go back to Egypt. For me to understand that Father, in September, December 85, given us these 4 months means that that's the time of unity between the Christian churches and Unification Church. And this will have to be done mainly through the Causa providence. Something I understand also right from the start, that I begin to have to have the faith that things develop truly from an internal point of view first. And I understand one thing, unless we succeed to unite at this level, there's almost no possibility for us to be able to reach the Christian churches. It's as simple as that. Unless we are successful in this test, Cain and Abel, we cannot reach the Christian churches. Why? Because as we do know, that's the foundation of systems, and through which the Messiah can come. So if we are not able to remove our fallen nature, to be in the position to be able to receive through the Messiah's guidance, the Messiah's presence, we cannot really go to the other steps. I do believe, of course, that this is God's providence. This is not our providence. This is God's providence. That He will find a way, but we will kind of block the flow of Father if we don't realize what is our internal responsibility. So, with this in mind, Heavenly Father put me in a very special situation because, please try to understand the context. I want to share an experience with you. I don't want to speak about people, nation, or anything else. But I have to relay few situations for you to understand what I went through and how I dealt with it. And I hope it can serve of some use for you. But there was somebody wonderful working before me in this place, in the Vatican. And this particular person, which is a good person, didn't really understand what I was coming for. And because of this, saw as a threat my presence in this place. So rather than to try to unite, this person tried to don't unite and to get me out of the way, quite frankly. So, but then I realized that I can never give up on my unity with this person. No matter what, she can hire somebody to kill me, I still will love her and then take her with me. Otherwise, I know there's no way the problems can go on. We are just in a certain place, in a certain situation. We did not ask for it, but we have to assume the responsibility. And I remember, I was during all that time reading Father's speech, with God's will in the world. And Father explained at one point, because of the lack of unity, it just tremendously, actually because of the lack of unity in America with the first missionary, Father did not have a foundation. So he had to pick up and do the thing by himself. Not because they didn't work hard, but because they didn't understand this basic point, that was the first responsibility. I said, we are in the same position. I am in the same position. And even if we see, this, we see already now, the 36 couples, they truly at such a level that we cannot treat them. But at that time, they were sometimes younger than us in the church, like us. And then in a foreign country, many difficulties. So maybe we have to put everything in perspective and to understand. But one thing is important, is truly unity for the best of any mission. So I was determined to never leave God and any prayer before to find peace and before to find a way to unite. I promised myself, no matter what happened, this particular person may say that about me, to these leaders, to this person, even going to President King or whatever. For me, that doesn't make any difference. I won't say a word to anybody about it. And I will do everything to unite in order to make God successful in the mission. Why? Because I knew, just as if I refuse like this spiritual battle, then I know God won't work. And I know no matter how much I do, it won't work. It just won't work. Because it just can't work with the help of the spiritual world. And then we need to have a foundation. In a sense, I am very grateful because I was pushed a little further in my limitation, to stretch my heart. Doesn't matter, even no matter how I am treated, I know that's my responsibility. And I will do it. So God worked in such a way that this person got another mission. And then this actually pushed toward the unity with the Italian family and ultimately with President King. And because I maintain this kind of stubbornness to don't be caught by my own spirit or by my King feeling and to truly fight in order to be free with God, then because of this, the whole situation moved around. Whole situation moved, and then we could be able to have a truly wonderful unity with the Italian family. So as I reported what was the activity to the Italian family, then we began to work together as a truly brother, mature brother, and then we could go on with our work and with the blessing of President King. So I felt, if I just was tired to fight, all these things would not have happened and problem will have occurred. And then, because of this, God could work. So I think we're all standing in this position. And then we have really to fight, And the only way we can fight if we understand the spirit of the second generation and to inherit the spirit. I really feel like we have to leave our old clothes in the desert. We have to take new clothes, new spirit, and then to go on, very happily and newly. We have to feel, no matter how I behave and what I did, no matter I am a new person, if I can unite with this spirit. And if I do that, I could follow up all the caravans until Canaan. So that's our responsibility internally, and my responsibility internally until 88. So by doing so, it's what I wanted to do, to realize an internal foundation, like spiritual foundation, but like more substantial foundation in terms of unity, in order to be able to go on. So, as Tom told you, can we avoid this reverberation? As Tom told you, maybe I have space so I can use everything. I decided to pray 40 days, 2 hours, just in order to unite with Eugene spirit. I understood, we have to unite. Father is speaking now, Eugene, we have always to understand, Father says something, and then, okay, now he's our leader, what it means, but we have to unite, and then the same spirit. Like Tom told you, Eugene is such a special person. He just, for me, it's like sun spirit or bright spirit. Just breaks through everything. Beautiful, incredible, powerful spirit, and happy and wholesome spirit. So how to inherit something and how to understand that through inherited something from his spirit, we can actually get out of our old spirit and be able to get through. So then, in order to do so, that's right, I choose 12 to have the same situation that he has, and to begin to unite with his spirit. So the first 40 days, we pray 12 to 2 a.m. So I was with someone that some of you may know from the Italian family, with Lorna Russo. And then I was also sometime helped by my Italian brother who is in charge of Causa, Franco Pasquale. Maybe you can stand up like he helped me many times over there. So. prayed many hours. So then we decided, and then in my whole life, I never had such an experience during these first 40 days. An incredible experience. So much so that, I was afraid. I was afraid because I couldn't check with the central figure. And then, unbelievable experience. Like even if I think or pray sometime about it, I can reconnect the special spirit of this special prayer. For instance, one day, the value, incredible value of true parents. Like even God is less than true parents in a sense. Everybody needs true parents. Everybody. Within the spiritual, there's billions and billions of people on earth, the billions of people, and God. Everybody has to go through true parents. There's no greater value and being, and then time and space. Just everything goes through true parents. And when we think that true parents are on earth, the center of whole universe, of all time, space, for eternity, are on earth. That's like such a brief time. And I am called, we are called to be able to help them. So for me, it was incredible to see like more than a diamond shining in outside of time and space, and then see God almost small in comparison to true parents, because he had to also rely on true parents. Big entities, he is like everybody else here. No, we have to go to the true parents to be able to be saved. So it was unbelievable value of true parents. Another time, Rome is a very special place. The only place I can compare Rome to in terms of spirit is New York City. Rome is incredible. I don't think you have more beggars than any place in the world. Sorry, but that's true. It's unbelievable. Like the spiritual world is very active, but very crazy. But very active. Like if we see, can we imagine Rome? Can we imagine Rome? Can you imagine what the Romans did? Today we go to the soccer game when they were going to see the Christians be persecuted. So, and then it was just before the 4th of October, and praying during 3 days, I truly felt what's the foundation. Because I was praying, Father said, now the foundation is restored. Father said so I believe it. But when I go outside and when I speak to a cardinal or a priest, he doesn't understand this truth. So maybe I speak, but he's still reserved about it. So what does it mean? Because before, the whole structure was the church structure through which Father could work. But today, what is this new foundation that Father is talking about? But then I understood really, and I almost like living experience. The foundation is the blood of the Christian and the blood of great men in history. That's our foundation. That's truly, first of all, a spiritual foundation. And for instance, during 3 days, I could feel my feet within the blood of Christians. And that's our roots. That's the bottom on which we're working. If I am here, it's not because of me or what I am doing, but I am just responsible because I am here at that time. So I cannot allow the problem to don't go right, because nothing to do with us. We don't ask, but we are here, and then we have the whole foundation. And I heard afterwards that Father said on October 1st that for the first time, the ceremony that he did in 1876, and for the day of the Victory of Heaven, in which all religious leaders went to bow down to Father, in order for to help the followers to work, Father said that now they could fully work. And especially like all the Christians and everybody, they could fully work with us. So that is our foundation. And I felt one time, like one lion, taking part of my body, like just unbelievable experience. That's what the Christian has to go through. And they are the people who are helping us, who are helping me in the spiritual world. So if I'm like a tourist of the restoration, or if I don't really live up to a certain standard, they won't work with me like what I'm doing. So I feel unless I am truly united with them and just willing to die willing to die for my mission. If I don't have this attitude to be willing to die, there's no way in the world these people will take me seriously and come with me. Before to come here, I was in Rome, and I had the chance to visit a church which is called the New Jerusalem Church, which was built around 500 years after Christ, so just within the wave of the persecution. And the whole of this church is just filled with the major persecutions. And it served as a historical record, to know where the persecution took place. I think it's one of the only ones. And as I thought before that most of the persecution were taking place is in Colosseum, but actually it took place elsewhere in Rome. But when I saw this picture last time, I just couldn't help but be so moved and touched. You won't believe the persecution these people went through. You just won't believe what the evil mind could come up with to persecute these people. I took some pictures, and as you will see, this picture, like this painting, are not so good because they're very old. But you will see the type of persecution, the people who are in the same position that we all went through, then we have to understand that the people who are in the spiritual world now to help us. That's a maquette which is representing this particular church, and it's rather symbolic. I will not enter into much detail, but also, we can go on. So you will see all these pictures. They're not so good because the paintings are not so good, but you will see this is historical record. And like we have who was persecuted, which emperor at what time, and the special slave. So this is not like some fantasy pictures. That's actually what happened. So then, as I told you, like the very first 40 days were unbelievable 40 days in terms of spiritual realization. The feeling, and then some kind of very beautiful, sometimes loving feeling of Heavenly Father, but most of all, I would say, a call to stand on our position if we want to work for God today. So during these 40 days, we had to find our Danbury. Father says, you have to find your own Danbury. So but we have to come up with something. So shall we steal something and just go to jail? Or what? I found one thing, As you know, Father said in Danbury, he was in the position to serve the hell of hell. Because if this society is hell, then the bottom of society in the prison, which proves like the bottom of this hell, actually the hell of hell. So his Father said, by serving the hell of hell, I kind of opening the way for everybody's salvation. So how to find our hell of hell? Actually, we were really helped to find our hell. We went to work with Mother Teresa's sisters. You know them? The Sister of Charities. You don't know them? They have a blue, blue stripe, and then they are like in sari. So we went to work with them, and I tell you, it was some kind of experience. Why? Because can you imagine the philosophy of this order? The philosophy of this order is the following one. To go in the worst place on earth. To go and to pick up the people that nobody wants. And to serve them as children of God. That's the philosophy of this order. And then the second philosophy is and to take the sick and dying people and help them to die in peace. That's what these sisters are doing. So I really feel that they're standing on the very top of Christianity. Why? Because they inherited Father's heart, which is to go to the world with and to serve the world with a father and mother attitude. Really a shoes of a servant and a father's heart, mother's heart. So when we went there, it was actually quite a challenge because sure they have Jesus and they truly love Jesus. They have truly living faith in Jesus. Unbelievable. So, and then you won't believe what they are capable to do, I remember at the very beginning when I saw one sisters, one of the beggars came with one table food just completely mixed up, and then just very, very swollen, and of course completely dirty. I saw the sister like taking this food as if it was the most precious thing, and then just give, like a baby, like a newborn baby, just giving the love to this food, and then I felt myself, can I do that just normally, and then give the love and treat him that well? And if I cannot do that, what is the level of my salvation, and what kind of love I can give? If she can give this nature of love, then with true parents we have, and I have to do better. So fortunately God helped me very much right at the start, because a few days after, we went almost every day during these 40 days. A few days after went somebody, and then everybody could smell him before he was actually in the room. He was completely drunk, and then he had not more than wetted his pants. He he was completely. You can imagine. And then he came, and they are sisters. Then they cannot take directly care of men, and I had to go at that very time. So, and I had an appointment. So, in a sense, I was almost happy to have an appointment, to have an excuse. But I felt, well, wait a minute. I felt, like when Father was in jail, Mr. Kemer told us, for many things, very dirty things, he even didn't want Mr. Kemer to do it. He said, that's my job. I have to do it. And I felt, wait a minute, that's my job. So I said to the sister, don't worry, I will do it. But he was drunk, and it was quite a bit of a fight. But I felt, no matter what, how to love this man and to give him dignity as a child of God, and for him to don't be embarrassed by the situation. So I couldn't manage okay, and till this day he likes me very much. So I couldn't manage it, but I felt so much also limitation. And God gave me few other occasions to overcome. But how to truly get the bottom and serve them. So it's what we did. And as doing so, I felt we can get like a graduation from this as a foundation to work and to have something to say to these monsignores, the cardinals. And what to do, I think that was a foundation. Also, so that was more like a service level. We did also conditions. Rome, brothers and sisters, were doing conditions, witnessing conditions. So we went on these witnessing conditions. And I think it was absolutely important somehow to speak God's word, to speak the divine principle, to be able to truly express our faith completely. Because in this particular setting, like Father, we made a condition. We don't say one word about who we are or what we want. No, we just serve. We just, nothing else than serve. Nothing else. And then we did a condition also to read God's will and the world. As you know, God's will and the world is the compilation of 38 speeches that Father gave over 25 years of time, and Father carefully picked them while he was in Danbury. And then when the day he went out, he gave to the ministers, 1,700 ministers present in Washington, representing world Christianity, he gave them this book, saying that God's will and the world. So if we imagine, if we truly believe that, that's representing God's will in the world. So I had this experience, and I do believe many of you have also, is what Father said like 15 years ago, or 10 years, 5 years ago, is incredibly true. And then we just completely missed the point at that time. But now we can see it's relevant. And I will say, this this particular thing gives me the feeling of providence more than anything else. And, we need this feeling of providence. It's what we need to really understand we're living the providence. We all join, or almost all, if we join the church, it's not only because of the divine principle, it's because this feeling of providence. We have to join the ship right away because we understood what was going on. That's why we joined. So we need, and I need always this thing of providence because we can have motivation, but what can move us really move us, I believe that's the feeling of providence. That we are on God's time schedule and then we have to be part of it. Also, as I told you, the spiritual world in Rome is pretty active and pretty crazy. So, we have to have and to receive the help of the spiritual world. But in order to do so, we have to organize the spiritual world. I am no stage John. I don't have vision, revelation, nothing. But I know and trust the principle. And I know that somehow, through my own thinking, we can truly organize the spiritual world. And if we truly do God's will, then the spiritual world has no other things to do than to help us. But in order to do so, it needs to be organized and educated. So, through service, we could truly do two things. First of all, to bring the people, that's one of the whole controversy. What is more important, action or words? And some people, if you don't do anything, then forget it. The other word, what gives you life is truth. So this is true. How to gain, the cooperation and the unity of these people. I think, that's why we were serving. And also, within the spiritual world, like in Rome you have incredible front lines. If you think about all these Christians, can we imagine? They knew what will happen to them. They knew what can happen to them. And then when we studied church history of the time, we understood that during the time of persecution, the harshest persecution, that's the time where the Christian was the most successful and the most people came in. So they really knew what would happen to them. But then they did it. So they were willing to die for their faith. Just willing to die. But if you see this picture, not to die, just to be incredibly persecuted for their faith. But what happened? On the other side of the fence, you had all these people who laugh at it, who were very happy to see them completely destroyed and tortured. It was their spectacle. Can you imagine the kind of people who are right there? So how to get rid of these people spiritually? And I think if we have so many strange people in this city, it's because of this spiritual world. So by doing the same condition that Father did, trying to serve the head of the hell, if you see the beggars and bad lady, there is no question. They don't take responsibility for themselves, and they're truly selfish. They don't care. They just don't care. It's amazing to see how selfish they are sometimes. Like they receive this food freely, but if somebody has more than them, they all shout out. Why he has that and not? Jam away. I was amazed, These people, they speak anything about anybody. And they are this kind of, like prisoners, and these people, they treat the kings and queens of resentment and of rumors. So, but then, they all respect the sisters. They don't respect anybody in the world, but they respect the sisters. Why? Because they feel God's love, and something blocks them. And because it's truly God's love, then at least they cannot do anything against them. They have to back up. So same with the spiritual. Serving these people, then we can push away, and then be able to grow the good spiritual world. And by also, seeing God's word, we can attract and educate the people centered on words. And by reading about God's will in the world, truly to educate the spiritual world about the providence. So that's what the first 40 days. And as the second 40 days, we decided to to pray, to change. So we decided to pray 4 to 5 a.m. Why? I am not sure, but we decided to pray 4 to 5. Yes. Because father and mother did the ceremony of the day of the Victory of Lord at 4 a.m. So then, that's what we decided. We will pray 4 to 5. Then what happened? I began this condition September 18 because I went a little late. So in order to match up with these 4 months, we began this condition, 18 days within the other condition, right? To be able to be at the same time schedule like United States and these 4 months. You understand what I mean? So during 18 days, we were praying 12 to 2 and then 4 to 5. It was a little difficult, but believe it or not, it became much more difficult when we had to pray just 4 to 5. Because we said, okay, we pray 4 to 5 and after we do anything, but we don't go back to bed. So we did that, and I tell you, the 2 first days, my spirit went down, and I just lost all my power, and then I actually felt completely tired, and I said, look, we have to be reasonable. You cannot go and see a cardinal and fall asleep. You just cannot, but it's also, then you can see, look, I knew these people, they were strange, etc. So because we truly represent true parents. So I was truly desperate. What to do? To change the condition? What to do? I am sure you made the same type of dilemma in your life. Quite a few times, I'm sure. So what to do? What to do? To change? Well, but you have a mission. So if in the name of your foundation you are not able to do your mission, then use less. Huh?
Don't sleep tablet.
No sleep.
Take some tablets to help.
Oh, tablet. I was taking some time espresso, but still work to a limit, Afterwards, we are still at home. So, I thought, well, what would have done Father in the same case? Eh? What would have done Father? What do you think Father would have done? Eh? What? Pray more. It's what we thought. So if it doesn't work, 4 to 5, let's try 4 to 6. Even though it doesn't make any sense, let's try 4 to 6. So in the very same day that we tried 4 to 6, we ended up to pray 4 to 7. And then no problem. No problem, really no problem. There's the truth of the spiritual truth, the spiritual element, no problem. It was absolutely amazing. And it's also this time, during the transition time between 12 to 2 and 4 to 5, while we're praying, that one of our good friends from the United States, Bishop Marr, it's an Orthodox bishop, came to visit and then came to help us to work in Rome. So he ended up to be with me in a small hotel room, and I said, what will happen, because I have to carry on. And then if you see what kind of life we involve in, we think, okay, we will maybe say strange story about this. So I said, what to do? So I tried at the beginning, look, that's a very special time for us, even though it's too much. But please understand that, very unusual, but I will pray 12 to 2 and then maybe a little bit in the morning, 45. So he was already looking at me as I was very strange. But anyway, I said, well, better to go ahead and then to do it. So at the beginning, I will admit that he had a little hard time, 2 or 3 days. And then the time passing on, he got used to. Many times, the sisters, the brothers, they had to knock on my door to get me up. So, and 2 or 3 times, I was sleeping, and then knocking on the door, and then I don't wake up. So he told me, Roger, that's time. So he gets completely involved into the spirit. And he did not want me to miss one of my commission. And it's a matter of fact, through this experience, he just had so much respect for us. Already he knew the members, but he said, now that I live with you, I understand what kind of people you are. You are not only dedicated and serious, but you're truly spiritual people. And then this particular person is a bishop, much older and then respected than I am, but even though now, because of this experience, he truly standing on objective position to us. When I say us, it's myself, but also Causa officer and Dr. Park and True Father. To the point that we can call him anytime, and we did, a short while ago, to give a mass because we needed somebody. I called him at 5 o'clock, telling him
5 p.m.
Yeah, 5 p.m. yeah. No, that's just a little side story. And I told him, please, we need you. We need you. And he was 2,000 miles away, Phoenix and Washington. So I said, I just need you. We need you. Can you please come and say mass for our participants to our seminar? He said, well, I said, we really need you. He said, okay. So I checked the plan and I will see. Call me back 30 minutes later. So I called him back 30 minutes later, and I had a little girl, I knew, so I was really embarrassed. Okay, where is your father? I said, he went to the airport. So he was already gone, just on one strike. So it was really such a type of person. They truly accept Unification Church as able. They keep their faith and religion. They're completely loyal to us and completely supportive. So, and at the end of the time he stayed in Rome, 15 days, I remember, because he was not sure what he had achieved. So I said, well, you happy? He said, well, okay. And he stood up and he said, he put his hand like that. He said, if somebody say anything about Unification Church, I stand and defend it. I said, okay, very good. So that really, like, his faithfulness was completely one and completely supported. So this particular condition was completely different than the first one. Actually, during this condition, I was missing the first one. Like the first, very beautiful, but this one, very tough. Very tough. Like, the first one was really the spiritual foundation. The second one, we began to visit a lot of people. So, for instance, we ended up to visit the major university. And when I say university, I'm speaking about the Vatican University. There is 5 of them. And to visit the president. Why? Because if this person can accept from a philosophical point of view that Causa is acceptable and that doesn't go against the dogma, religion, faith, or whatever, that don't touch this theological thing, then we can go elsewhere and say, look, your people said from an academic point of view, no problem. So let's go ahead. So that's why I thought it was very important to meet these people. Then I went to visit the spiritual group. Do you know Focolaris? Yes. And the charismatic renewal movement, yeah? So these kind of people who want to live their life of faith in a daily manner, to truly live a good, maybe layman, but truly good life of faith and good life of spirit. So we went to visit them, to establish some connection, and I could tell you more another time, but it was also the Christian churches as a condition, because there is very few of them in Rome, outside of the Catholic Church. And then I don't remember. And the Vatican. Just forgot. God. So this particular condition was an incredible condition. Because in a sense, our activity was completely different. So we were dealing with, like a different also spirituality. So sometimes we had to fight maybe 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours before to have a breakthrough. As simple as that. But not giving up, just trying to push to have a breakthrough. And then at that time, God gave us very practical advices, and then people to see. To the point that, for example, my brother and I were asking me, what did you say about that and that? And usually I always forgot. So then they took, pen and then to write it down in order to be able to guide. But truly practical advice. And the Spirit works with us in a very specific manner. I remember, I had one time a very big dilemma. These four officers who are dealing with our case directly. One of these officers is very negative. And the old way, brainwashing and all this kind of thing. Really, but they are very negative. And I had to go to an appointment, but I didn't put on this appointment. I wanted to see another person within this office, and then he managed for me to meet other person that I already met, and I knew how they were. So I didn't know what to do. Because I was, these particular four officers were created after Vatican II for the unique purpose to have the Catholic Church to be linked to the world. One is for the culture. One is for the relationship with the non-believers. One is for the relationship with the believers, non-Christian. And one is for promoting Christian unity. So truly how to go outside. And these four particular officers unite in order to condemn Father during the time he was in Danbury. So I knew they had to pay for it 10 times. And because of their mistake, I knew great blessing will come anyway. But how to deal with it? So I was determined to go all over the place and to truly denounce the abuse of their power, the abuse of... I was truly ready to do that if it's necessary. To say, look what you do. You pretend to do that, and what you do with things is just to go against the other group. So that's a nonsense, and that's dishonor. So I was really ready to fight if it's necessary. So, but I didn't know if it's what God wants me to do. So, until the last moment, I didn't know what to do with it. And truly was a, and I was aware if I do a mistake, then everybody in the Unification Church will hate me afterwards, because they will have trouble in their country. So I knew somehow God has to help me. I will do everything He wants, but He has to help me. So I remember we gathered to pray in order to prepare to go for this visit. And then we pray, and we pray, and we pray, and we pray, and then we stopped to pray. And then the time was over. We just forgot ourselves in God. And then because we truly wanted God's inspiration, that we had to pray such a long time that it was too late to go. So then no problem. So we were free, okay, we didn't go, and then no problem. But the two other secretariats, which deal with our case, they were negative before. But we have to understand, in a sense, they don't know what to deal with all these religious groups all over, and some of them, they're pretty much against them. So they never know how to deal with them. Yeah, they have problems. They are not always badly motivated. So I began to visit some people. When I say people, I say monsignors, bishops. So within the Christian, of promoting Christian unity and the non-Christian department, these two sectors. And they are the one mainly dealing with us. The other, they participating to it. So after the 40th day of the end of our 40 days condition, the 40th day, they met, the two cardinals of this congregation, and they nominated someone to be appointed as a person who will dialogue with us. So since this time on, this is 4 days, we can organize some meeting and then we can relay to the Vatican. And then since then, we met quite a few times and then they were able to change. So we did quite a great activity here, but still it was growth period. So we met a lot of people and then we laid a good foundation. So when came the time of the third holiday, we came back to 12 to 2. It was truly a time of incredible fulfillment. Like everything was going out in this place. And everything could be really kind of in control. So, first of all, the different pontifical university to the major one, we could establish a very good relationship with the president, to the point that in the two major pontifical universities, the president himself accepted to study the Causa manual. And then he did so to the extent that they were really, really positive, really positive. And when Ambassador Sanchez, that you know now, who is the president of Causa USA, went to our meeting in Rome, he was able to meet one president of the university, and since then they carry on their relationship. And it was such a great meeting because they could talk together. I set up the meeting, and then they could actually exchange to the point that this particular president is truly on our side. Even though he remained a little quiet about it, he's still absolutely supportive. Also, there is another person that you may know, Mother Teresa, you know her?
Oh, yeah.
I told you before that I didn't tell to any sisters and any nuns that who I was from which religious group. I didn't tell one thing. But since the very start, I met Mother Teresa over 1 year ago, and since the very start, I told about Father. So the first time I talked to her, she said, Moon from New York or from I said, yeah. I said, oh. I said, well, you know, whatever you heard about him, I can tell you one thing. He's a good and great man. So please believe in that. So we carried on our conversation. But since then, I'm pretty much serving. And when the synod come, I will speak a little bit later about it. When the synod comes, she came during 15 days in Rome. So, and then they have mass at 6:30 in the morning. So that became our standard morning service during that time. So we assisted to the mass, and at the very beginning, almost nobody came, but the words came around. Every day more people were sitting at their place. But what is great also that Mrs. Park was able to meet her, and then offer very beautiful flowers to her, and have an exchange about the husband and different things. And also Ambassador Sanchez came to see her, and then he explained that he was ambassador to Honduras. So then they already talked to do something in Honduras to help a kind of orphanage that the sisters have over there. And then since then, the ambassador came to Honduras, and then we made some kind of donation. And then I reported a short time ago to Mother Teresa, maybe 2 weeks ago. And then she was very happy. So she signed, the picture where we were, in Honduras. And also, I tell you one thing that you don't know, and she may not be aware of, but she's also a Causa supporter. So we can So one very significant meeting, especially we really get closer to her, and so we continue to serve the sister. But I have one dream. I don't want this person to go in the spiritual world before to meet Father. That's I don't want it even to be my dream. I want just to have faith that it will happen. If we see this person is just an unbelievable person. I tell you the kind of attitude she has. She gave a little sermon at one end of the service, and she said things like, we need a deep prayer life. If we need a deep prayer life, because that's the only way we can get some faith. And just through faith, we can actually attract God. And if we attract God, we can feel and have God's love. And it's by sharing God's love through service that we can experience joy. That's a divine principle, isn't it? So that's the kind of spiritual guidance she gives to the nun. And I could see the nuns, and that's why something must happen, because the nuns, they are, for me I can understand, they are not here because they have a vocation. They are here because they understood that's the way to find God. I can see, because they truly live their faith truly. So that's the kind of person Mother Teresa is. This kind of leader, spiritual leader, but this kind of unbelievable giving person, unbelievable giving. So don't you think that the only good thing which can happen at the end of her life is to meet the family? Yeah. Don't you think that normally speaking, it's just something which had to happen? Yeah. It's what I want always to stick on. I don't want to become too rational and say, look, what are you talking about? No, I know that this person, that already we have a very good relationship together. Last time she told me, she looked at me and she told me, she said, please, keep a loving heart for others. So keep your loving heart, keep your loving heart. So she's really like, she's special. And she is very sharp, and she's 75 years old, but still she's not in the spiritual world yet. So she's very present, and she understands what's going on. I can share a little other secret for you. Last year, she already accepted to go to the World Media Conference. Okay, we canceled the World Media Conference, but she accepted. And I remember when we asked her, she said, look, I am not a journalist, I am a missionary. What do you want me to do? You truly have to share something, and they have to listen to you, these people, more than anybody else. So she is this kind of person. So we continuing to bring her closer to us. So also, that's the time of Aula. As you do know that Aula is a sister organization of Causa, and we were able to visit the Pope. Aula was received by the Pope, and you have the participant here, and Dr. Park in front. So you have also to understand the setting. Because we had 14 former heads of states, the Vatican as a state, on a diplomatical level, was in the position to receive this person. So it was not done on a religious level, but it was done to honor the work of these people for Latin America. So that was the time also when we had a synod. As you know, 20 years ago we had a synod which was called Vatican II to change the church. Pope John Paul II called for an extraordinary synod in order to evaluate what is the implication on the different countries of Vatican II. So can you imagine, at the same time, the whole heads of the Catholic Church of the world were in one place, Rome. Can you imagine? So I tell you, and you may know that already, to meet one bishop or one archbishop in one country, it's so difficult sometimes, yes or not? Yes. Yeah. But they were all there and packed up sometimes in the same places. So we just had to call them and then, to see, for instance, At 10 o'clock, the bishop or cardinals, quite a few cardinals of this country, of Indonesia, afterwards Greece, after Pakistan. And it was just unbelievable, one after the other. So, and we made one condition, we always announce Father. Sure, we may have to find the best way to introduce at the right time within the conversation, but we always introduce Father. So that was absolutely incredible. I'd like to share just a brief experience with you with the Cardinal from Korea. You like to hear? Yeah. His name is Cardinal Kim. So, another Kim. So, we had an appointment in the morning, and he came, and once he kind of, I don't know if you saw him, but kind of a serious look. So we met each other, and I began to joke a little bit, saying, we say that the next pope will be coming from the Orient. So you don't want to deal too much with this kind of thing. And then I began to explain, I talked about Causa, and then, pretty much it was just waiting, waiting to see what will happen. But it was okay. So, and I say, and the founder of Causa International is the Reverend San Myung. So he had already the mandate, Causa mandate, so he said, Unification Church. So he just all of a sudden got very awake and interested. And I said, well, not exactly. Even though it's true that this is something really different, but he was not. And then he felt impatient. So maybe he just forgot that he had an important appointment somewhere. He wanted to just go away. So in my head, I said, I didn't want to invite him in the first place, because I said, we have to be very careful with the four provincial nations. And I know, like, on Catholicism basis, they're also very tough. So, but anyway, my dear sister made an appointment, so I had to go. But when I saw what happened, I felt mistake. Because when he left, he looked at the door, and he was thinking, how come he could enter in this place? It is a place reserved for the clergy. How come he could do that? And I could see that he looked at the man, like the doorman, and I was sure my career is finished in this place, because he will, the Vatican, they have a good, good security, good information systems. But I am finished. Okay, I made a mistake. I don't know how I will do, but okay, let's carry on. So he went, and I was sure that what will happen. But in the very same day, I had also an appointment in the same place. So I came back. And of course, one of the first people who was coming towards me, Cardinal Kim. Oh, I escaped and I found the bathroom for him to be able to go. And then, so I went back. So I took my bishop or whatever, I put him on the corner, and then we began to speak. And then afterwards, I had an appointment at 6 o'clock, just after the session of the synod, with the Archbishop of Costa Rica. And he was coming with his beautiful robe and all this. So, and then myself, I was not very secure in this place anymore. So when he comes, so I kind of usher him very quickly on the salon, and then hop, we enter. Who is here with 2 Korean songs? Cardinal Kim. I took that. So let's go. So we went over there, but I could see him. So I said, too bad. So let's finish my day. Let's do something. So, and it happened, I said, and I thought, wait a minute, what's happening? I can do one step in this place without seeing this name, Cardinal Kim. So it's better to change my strategy. So I said, now, we continued the following day, and I saw him to come, hello! so very free hand. Okay. So I said, okay, so the following day I said, now that's the time. So when he was coming, the third day I said, hello, Cardinal Kim, how are you? So he was, but at one point I felt he just gave up spiritually. Just gave up. He said, too much? I don't live with it. Just too much. But what I feel, it was very important, but he could see, right in the heart. of the Vatican, Father is here. And not only is here, but people, when I came to him, he could testify. I didn't hide about Father. I said, Reverend Son Myung. So he could see that whenever I talk to one cardinal or the other from all these continents, I'm actually talking about Reverend Son Myung. And I have still in my mind the beautiful pictures, because I could see quite a few cardinals and bishops coming home with the blue book of Causa. So I was wondering, one more. It was an extraordinary scenery, really. And what happened? Quite deep experience, because in some countries the Catholic Church is a minority. So even the big cardinal, big problem. And then they have hard time. In Pakistan, I remember like the Archbishop of Athena in Greece, like the Orthodox, you won't believe what they do to the Catholics over there. So they all have a very different situation. But also, one of the most moving experience I had is to meet cardinals and bishops from the Eastern, or even also from Russia. And one of the most, I would say, striking experience I had is when I met a bishop from Russia, in one of the provinces. And then speaking to him, he told me, look, what do you have to offer? If your society is decadent, if I see young people in the street, the morality and decadent, and I feel so bad, and I said, maybe we don't realize how much our world is sick. Because somebody persecuted comes into our world, and it's a free world, and doesn't want it. You say, at least in my nation, the state is trying to do something about it. And I felt we have a work to do as a Causa people and Unification Church people. It's impossible to see somebody coming from Russia, somebody who is persecuted, to come and say, look, your world is worse. Your world is worse. So this kind of experience were quite moving and enlightening also. But we really have to understand what's going on in our own world. And also one experience I had with a cardinal from another communist country, and I had to have somebody to help me because I don't speak German, so the only thing was to speak German. So I like maybe Margareta, can you stand up? She was my interpreter, and since then she became part of Causa International in the Vatican. She can tell you if I say the truth. But then we met this particular bishop, cardinal, and when we began to speak, when he heard about our father, he didn't want, no, he just didn't want to live. But anyway, myself, deeply, I could not accept that him also, he needs, and we are the only hope, him also can go that way. For me, it was just impossible to accept. So we continue to speak, testify to Father, I testify at this movement that we care about them to the point that we want to liberate them. We don't even care about community. It's like a cancer. We want just to get rid of it and then to liberate these people, and then especially to liberate religious people for them to be able to take care of their country. So once he understood what is the vision in the heart of Father, he said, okay, if it's like that, then I am 100% with you. And then shook hand. Then we went. And one of the most also striking experience were the bishop and cardinal from Africa.
Yeah.
They were incredible. Why? Because they were completely fed up with all this intellectual talk. For them, living God, that's it. You have God, you don't have God, we want to speak about that. They were really tired, and they were cold in Rome in December. So it was quite easy. When we were speaking together, first thing, they wanted to go out, or they didn't want to go to the meeting. So that was their first impression, that they had a hard time. But also, I would say really 75% of them understood what is Causa, of course, knew about Father, and truly would like to do something with us in Africa. And when I say no, he's not nobody. For instance, one Calion, and we had a very good relationship. Very good. He's the Calion from Zaire, and this Calion is the head of all bishops of Africa. And he's willing to do something with us anytime. And quite a few of them, because they see, because they see, for instance, they have a lot of problems with the Muslim. How to bridge the gap between Christian and Muslim. So this is Causa can do it. Also, quite the young generation in Africa, all mixed up. So many wars, so many problems with these changes, so many confusion. They're all mixed up. So they say that they need like a new base to inspire the young people. So therefore, you have to know like Africa is ready also to welcome Causa. So maybe our next step, we will go to Africa. So I wanted basically to share this testimony to tell you one thing, that everything is coming from inside. Everything. And then afterwards, of course, we need some skills sometimes, or some education. We have to know what to say, how to say it, and with who. But everything is coming from the inside. And then if we can build up inside, then God can use us and we can fulfill our mission. Thank you very much for your attention. Raised and solved by President von Pilkin, but as much as we can, we'll try to answer. So, who is the first? Who is the most courageous? Or who's the one with the most? Yeah.
In one of the Causa lectures, it was mentioned about Marx's term of species essence, but if I remember correctly, it didn't explain what that was. What exactly is that?
There's so many questions about procedures and everything. It's nice to get a question about the lecture content. Although I don't want to spend a lot of time developing that. Actually, I think that the term, as it's found in Marx, is just species being. And it's supposedly what is unique about a human being is in his interrelationship with other members of his species. And so in the 3 documents from Bad Kreuznach, the Kreuznach manuscripts, and then in the Paris manuscripts, he expounds on how the species being came to be alienated, or how man ceased to be a species being and came to be an alienated, isolated individual who had lost the proper relationship with other members of his species. So that term is actually discussed a little bit greater depth in the manual. And the manual and the little pocket blue book are the very same text. So if you want to look in either one of those places, you'll find a little more description about that. Also the magazine. In Dr. Lee's article in the English magazine, printed in New York, you'll find that particular subject discussed. And everybody will be getting your manual as soon as possible. So if you don't have reference to one now, we'll get you one very soon.
No questions? I don't believe you. Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, just a question, but maybe it's in the mind of most of us here. Is what next? I mean, because of course we create a certain spirit here, and how to coordinate, European work. Because till now, basically, each country was very much, I think, separately, individually. And of course, I can speak from my own experience in Spain. Everything we did actually out of our own initiative and ideas, and we never consult to anybody. So, if this is supposed to be a kind of a starting point, is there any kind of, orderly leadership, or what kind of connection will be from now on? This kind of, I don't know if you can answer this, or it's something to do with the One Pilkin, but anyway, something.
I just wanted to mention a couple of points, which I don't. It's not going to directly answer your question, because I do think that I think maybe Roger would like to share a few comments, but also I feel that we still need to understand more clearly, like Reverend Juan Pilkim's direction. But I did want to mention one thing I think which is very, very important about what's next, because I heard, and when I mention this one, we start to see that there are we could spend literally all day talking about other things. But I just happened to have heard some people speaking this morning about getting a Causa president for their country, and what would be the best kind of person to get as a Causa president for their country. I mean, obviously that's one thing that has to be done at some point in terms of the future work of Causa, is that you need to have a good Causa president. But I just wanted to stress not to do that too quickly. And I just want to give you a few reasons why it might not be so good to do that too quickly. Point number one is that we need to have, I think, best of all, an outside person as the president of Causa in our specific countries. It just is a lot easier, and also that's a very powerful witness to Father. When someone comes and says, "Hey, Causa is a Mooney Front organization. It's just a part of the Unification Church," and a person says, "Well, that's interesting because I'm the president of Causa and I'm not a Unification Church member, So I don't know why you're saying that this is a part of the Unification Church. I'm not a member of the Unification Church." And you heard, like, Ambassador Sanchez speak very, very strongly the other day about the point that, I'm a Catholic. I belong to a specific church. And this movement was founded by another specific church. But, nevertheless, we can all work together because our goal was beyond a specific denomination. So, yeah, one thing is we have to get a good council leader. But the one thing I like to stress is that person should not be a Unification Church member. And point number two is that we should really make sure that person has the right kind of spiritual disposition, I just want to really testify to Ambassador Sanchez. Actually, one of the main reasons we wanted him to come here was for you to get some idea of what kind of person is a good representative. Really, Ambassador Sanchez is like a Mooney. He's a Roman Catholic. He's never heard the divine principle, but he's really like a Mooney, And he is in the sense that this is a man. I mean, maybe it's hard to really explain what kind of importance that he has in America. But this is a man who he held one of the, if you remember the 1960s in America, one of the most important projects which was launched because of the inspiration of President Kennedy was the War on Poverty. And for years, people heard so much about it, and Ambassador Sanchez was the director of the War on Poverty. He had a budget of about $6 billion that he was responsible for in the United States every single year, a yearly budget of $6 billion. This is a man who's had 2 ambassadorial posts. He's a person who has tremendous importance, but the amazing thing is that he's extremely humble, unusually humble, and unusually righteous, and a very, very good person. So I think point number one, in the future when you look for your Causa president, is you want a person probably who should not be a Unification Church member, and number 2, a person who has a good spiritual disposition, and number 3, and this is also a very, very important person, a person who has real political weight. So I would not encourage you, I just want to give some examples. I would not encourage you to go home and to say, well, we have a really good professor who would be a good president of Causa USA. He may be a very good professor, but Ambassador Sanchez anytime can call the White House and they'll take his phone calls. Anytime. And when we had some difficulties with the White House briefings, you know, many people called and Ambassador Sanchez went there 3 times. And the person that caused us the trouble, when he found out that Ambassador Sanchez was the president of Causa USA, he quickly asked if he could please have lunch with Ambassador Sanchez because he understood, wait a second, there are 25 million Hispanics in America. This is the Hispanic person in America who has had the highest political office of any of them. And so therefore, if he says something negative about us, we may risk to lose the support of 25 million people. So we need him, you know? We can't just let him go by. So you need a person also who has real political weight. Not just a person who is a professor, or or not a person who was, you know, what, like a refugee from another country who knows communism very well or something. Those people don't have weight. We need a person who's been a part of the political scene. So this is just one example of things you can talk about. But I would like to really, and actually, if your national leader has gone back, but if you're from one of the countries, you know. I would really encourage you because, very frankly, we suffered a lot in Causa in America because we didn't understand that point right away, that you've got to take time and find the right person, you know. And we spent about 2 years before we finally realized that the kind of person that we needed was Ambassador Sanchez. And we watched him very, very closely for month after month after month. And then all of us together, we all came to the same conclusion. He's the man. He's the one that we need. So I really want to just stress that point, that don't pick too easily the president of Causa in your country. That's a very, very precious post. So what you can do in the meantime when you have your conferences, because, you know, the next step, I think, is clear, that all of you have to develop as Causa lecturers. And the step after you know the Causa material is to start to have conferences. And in order to get people to come to the conference, you know, it's very helpful to have somebody who can write a letter, who has a certain importance, and who is going to be able to attract people to come to the conference. And so I would suggest that instead of having a Causa president in your country quickly, the first thing that you might want to have is a Causa conference chairman. And you try this person for this conference, then your next conference you try somebody else, try somebody else, try somebody else, and finally, you know, what we've discovered through the conferences also is that, you know, you start off and the first people they're on this level. Then the next level people, they're like this, and they're like this, and they're like this. And it's like constantly the quality of the people goes up and up and up and up, you know. And it's really like the working of the spirit world. As time goes by, God gives us better and better and better people. So, you know, it's this whole process. So I would really encourage you about this point. Don't pick too easily the Causa president in your country. Take your time. Have a conference chairman or whatever. And the church member, you be like the secretary general. You be the one that kind of controls the situation. But never in the front, you know. Never. We always step back, you know. We're always behind. Ambassador Sanchez is the person who's in the front, and he is the one who deals with the public. He's the one that you know that really represents us best of all, because people start to see that's not just for Unification Church members; it's for me, you know. And if that man is inspired by Causa, then I also have to think about it. So that's, I mean, those are just a couple of very specific points that. As I was sitting here, I just felt I at least want to mention that before I go, because that's a part of our experience, is to really take those things into consideration. Another point I want to mention. This is a very technical point, and we may not have been the best example in this conference. And actually, I'm not being such a good example right now. And that is a question and answer session. You know, in an outside conference with outside people. We do not spend a lot of time on questions, and we do not spend a lot of time answering questions. And I'm sorry we spend a lot of time here, but in a sense we have to almost. Quick answers to questions, you know, Because the real purpose of question and answer session is to let people speak. They've been listening for a long time, so to give them an opportunity to speak. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, just, no, I was asked already if my responsibility in Causa International is international activity, which means that I have a great deal of experiences to watch out the growth of the local chapter in many countries. So I have had a great deal of experiences, and already we're thinking with President King what would be the best way Causa International and myself could help to start it or develop activities or even to be connected to a certain level. Yes? Yes, please.
There's a bit different from what you said. Also, to clarify this point, Herbert Spencer maintained that survival of the fittest should be employed in human society. I would like to know the Causa worldview on this. What can we do to reconcile between classes? Or do we aim for a classless society, or is this dream never will be achieved?
Repeat the question.
Oh, the question is about the class system which exists in our society. What is our view on it? Do we believe that one class will be established at one point, or some kind of ideal?
How can we reconcile between classes? This is one question. Do we hope for a classless society, or is it impossible?
How can we reconcile between different classes, and do we hope for a classless society or to some other form of society?
Very briefly, I think that the key, once again, is a change in people's value perspective. And I think that the point is that we have to reevaluate what determines the greatness of a human being. And what ultimately determines the greatness of a human being is the character of an individual. It's not the kind of job or whatever else that they happen to perform. It's their character. And the tendency to see people from a perspective of class is, it has to be, the way that it has to be solved is that step by step we have to encourage in society as a whole a new way of seeing the value of a human being. So one of the key points of the Causa worldview perspective is that it's helping people to understand that the real value of a person is not so much what they do, but the heart with which they do it. And I think that, just very briefly, I think that's the point which we step by step have to change. And so the people who will be raised up before the eyes of humanity will be the people who do things with a godly heart, rather than the people who belong to a certain class. But by the change in the value perspective, we'll begin to praise and respect and love and admire those who do things with a certain heart, rather than merely those who perform a certain class level of function or activity.
Yes, please.
I think most of us here will be worried about the peace marches which are going on around Europe. And many of the ministers are involved with really, I think, a little practical guidance on whether to bring them into the general seminars or practical points on this. The peace marches are the really big worry.
Yeah, one of the big concerns will be the peace marches in Europe. So do we have any kind of practical advice, because some of ministers are involved in it?
Most of them.
Well, I would like to make a general remark. We haven't spoken very much about the International Security Council, which originally began as a project of Causa International and now is still a project of Causa, but has very much taken on a certain particular role under Father. And Father is working with a gentleman named Dr. Joseph Cherba, and Antonio Betancourt is very much involved in that as well. And I think that this is a very good source of information on issues such as disarmament, or how peace can be achieved or peace can be maintained, or just all the aspects of the Soviet military threat and so forth. So this is an educational resource that can be used in order so that ministers can be more aware of the facts, because a lot of people are laboring under a great deal of ignorance and then they're involved in those things. So we should make available to you at least the address and so forth of the International Security Council so that you can somehow get those publications on a regular basis. Also, I'd like to make a general comment on the question about the classless society. I'm not going to talk about the classless society, but just one comment. When we describe what Causa deals with actually is we're not dealing with the kingdom of heaven. Like, what will be the politics of the kingdom of heaven? What will be the economics of the kingdom of heaven? We're actually not discussing that. Actually, what we're discussing, if you want to think of it in principle terms, it speaks about the final stage of preparation for the second coming of Christ. And it speaks that in that final stage you have a kind of political democracy, you have a kind of democracy of religion where everyone has to study the Bible, and you have some kind of economic democracy, whatever that's supposed to be called. So that is in effect what we're talking about, and we are not trying to describe what the kingdom of heaven will be like. So we're not elaborating the kingdom of heaven so much.
Yes.
Recently in Holland, the European Parliament, they voted against the American aid to Nicaragua, and I wondered what's your opinion, or how that would actually affect the American political situation, or what your opinion is about that.
Yeah, recently in Holland, the European Parliament voted against some kind of aid or some kind of help to Nicaragua. I mean, it's news for me. So and his question is, how does this have any kind of impact on the American public, American opinion?
Well, I just think that first of all, I think that you should it's good to know that the majority of the American people are opposed to aid to Nicaragua. The majority of American people are opposed to it. And the reason is because even the American people don't know the reality of what's going on in Nicaragua. So it's not at all surprising that likewise the European Parliament would make that kind of decision. Only a few months ago our own Congress made that decision. So basically I think that President Reagan has a very strong feeling that this is right, and also Father has a very strong feeling that this is right, most important of all. And I think that it just goes to show the need for education of both the American people and also the European people with respect to the reality of communism, and likewise to the reality of what's going on in Central America today. There was a survey in the United States, and I forget what it was, like 60% of the American people believe that the countries are communist. I mean, it's like an incredible, you just wouldn't believe it. The level of confusion that there is, that's inside of America. So I'm not at all surprised that there's a confusion in Europe, And President Reagan is going ahead with this, even though he knows that only about 38%, I believe, of the American people support his policy in Nicaragua. So it's not surprising. It just shows we have a big task of education ahead, all of us.
This reminds me one comment I had to make after Father Peña spoke. You are willing to use the information and even to quote his name, but please don't speak about the setting in which you got the information. Means that he's speaking, so he doesn't mind to. Of course, if he speaks, it's for the truth to be known. So he wants you to use this information, but it cannot be public that it was within the Causa seminar. That's all. Any other question? Two more. Yes.
I'd just like to ask, what effect American aid to Nicaragua, for example, would have on Soviet-American relations? How do the Soviets see that kind of the aid that we give to, that was given by the West to support anti-communist liberal causes.
I'm not sure. Your question is exactly? I couldn't hear.
How the Soviets view American aid to Nicaragua to support a movement, a rebel movement to overthrow a communist government.
How
Does it
the
affect the relationship with the East and West?
So how the Soviet Union is seeing the effort of the American to help the country militarily?
Well, I think it's something that the Soviets can understand. You know, seriously. I think that American behavior has been incomprehensible to them for a number of decades. They just cannot understand really what's going on in the United States, why they continue to give away the world. And so now the United States is behaving in a rational way and putting up some kind of strong posture against Soviet expansionism. So I don't think that that's a destabilizing, I don't think that's going to have a destabilizing effect. I think that's going to have actually a stabilizing effect, because now American behavior will appear comprehensible to the Soviets, if you know what I mean. So I would not buy the argument that that's going to now destabilize a relationship and that's going to throw a wrench into the understandings that have been reached. I think relationships with the Soviets are always better when there's when we show a position of strength. Then from that point, relationships can be actually better. If anything, they can be more stable and reasonable than if we present a continued sort of just, you know, irresistible vulnerability that they always want to go after and attack.
Yeah, maybe the two last one here and then after.
A few days ago, I was talking to somebody about the dialectic, and we say that we completely disagree with the dialectic. This person gave me and we say that we must have cooperation. We must, through mutual cooperation, this is the only way to change something. Well, this one person said to me, I expect often other people get asked the same question. What happens if you meet a person who doesn't want to change, like some government or some dictator or something? How can you cooperate mutually with this person who doesn't want to change? What's a good answer?
Yeah, so what happens in case of you have to cooperate or you have in touch with somebody who doesn't want to change, and especially if he's a leader, a dictator or something like that. The Soviets have an answer for it. Maybe I can say something. I can try. First of all, we need to have faith, right? That one way or another, God will be able to work. And then, second, because of being involved with Causa activities, and because if we understand Father's heart, we cannot just do our best, but we have to be able to win the situation for Father. So whenever we have had the opportunity to be able to work, we did so. So I know that even for some of you, it may not be very clear why we did work in some country where some people, whether it was the militaries or some dictator, were at the head of the government. But we are like the Christian. The Christian, when they went somewhere, they never change their words, they never change. And then if somebody who is not that good gives you his children to be educated, then if you truly love the country and love these people, then you will take this opportunity and try to have an impact on these people. We did that in some cases without ever be within the light of the government, but being an educational group, organization, we really try to expand as much as we can with especially this point. Our hope is that people will change. Also that may tell us something about even the leaders we want to raise. Many people change. When the first time they hear Causa, the second, the third, they change. So we have to have also this hope that people can change. Actually, that's our only hope, that people can change. Yeah, Tom wants to say something.
I just want to add one other point, and we're getting into something here that I don't know how well you can articulate this to an outside person, but I think we can understand a lot from Jacob's course, because when Jacob saw that Esau would not change, and that Esau was committed to kill him, Jacob cut off give and take from Esau, and he went away. And he prepared himself over a certain period of time. And at the end of that period of time, then he went back and he had, Jacob had a lot of things going for him at that time. And he had enough going for him at that time that suddenly it became clear to Esau that it was in his interest to open up and to establish a relationship with Jacob. And that's what Father did as well. When they're at a point in Father's mission, when there was a lot of the Korean Christianity was unable to receive him, Father went away. He went to America, and he worked in America, and what the victory he was able to realize there, then he could go back to Korea, and some Korean people started to see it was in their interest to somehow connect to and to relate to Father. And also Father cut off from the communist world in 1950. But at some point, he's going to come back. He's isolated himself, but he's building up something so that at some point it will be possible to take even the communist world and say, look, it's in your interest to have give and take with us. But there may be times when you've just got to isolate yourself from that particular force, and maybe that force will decline when you isolate yourself from it. Maybe it will stay there, but in the meantime, if you have to finally reconcile yourself with that person, then you have to develop things which will make it in the interest of that person to establish a give and take relationship. Jacob could sacrifice many things, but he couldn't sacrifice his principle that he was a representative of God. And likewise for us, in dealing with different people, we cannot sacrifice our principles, you know. So if somebody doesn't want to change, and if their standard is a wrong one, we cannot change because of that. We have to go someplace or do something else, and then come back and approach that person again. But our principles can't change. Only they have to see that it's more in their interest to begin to have a relationship with us.
We are pressed for time, and however, I didn't want to create the impression that question somehow throws a wrench in our whole idea. I would just like to take what Tom said and put it in the terms of the lecture. That question does not, just because we hesitate and think a moment, it doesn't mean that it can't be handled by our model. Either you can, as Tom said, go away. In other words, it says very clearly that unless there's a correlative base, you cannot set up a relationship at all. So unless there's a principal base, there cannot be a relationship. And then if there is some kind of basis, then you enter into a relationship, but we have to be the subject element. And for example, if the dictator, you said it like a dictator. Well, if the dictator can recognize the idea of mutual benefit, then we can, from a subject position, we can lead him in a certain direction that we want to go. And I think right-wing dictatorships are kind of like that. If the dictator is a Marxist-Leninist, then it'll be very difficult to set up any kind of base. So we do not want to get in a position where we're just object and he's subject and he's leading us in his own direction. So in that case, it's like you have to separate.
Yeah. Just to give you, we don't want to stay too long. I just like to say, one perfect example will be Chile. We work in Chile, like in every other country in Latin America, but as we saw that the government liked us to go their way, we decided to don't work anymore. So they follow a certain Isaiah's course, and then if they quiet down and then they're a little bit more open, then we will come back. So the last question very quickly, because we have to...
Yeah, so far there was very little success of anti-communist rebels to somehow win back one country which has been occupied by the communists. But please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that in Angola and in Mozambique now some changes occurring. Could you verify this or not?
One question is about, so far, the rebels against the communist country didn't bring any success in their attempt to liberate the country, but it seems to him that if Angola and Mozambique was helped or supported in some ways, they could do it.
No, that's not the question.
What's the question?
What is the situation?
What is the situation?
In Angola?
But what is... Yeah, so far there were no success in their attempt, but the situation in Angola and Mozambique seems different.
I don't know the situation about Mozambique enough because there's all kinds of crazy things going on with respect to Mozambique. And one of the problems is that the United States just gave a considerable amount of money to Mozambique because they were somehow convinced that by giving money to Mozambique, then the country is going to change, you know, and it's going to become less Marxist in nature. I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't know enough the situation there. But I don't think the rebels are going to be successful in Mozambique if the Mozambique government is receiving not just Soviet aid but also US aid, and that's what's happening right now there. And with respect to Angola, Dr. Pak held up yesterday one poster, which I guess only the people in the front had a chance to see. The very shameful problem with Angola is that basically the rebels in Angola are being financed by Gulf Oil. Actually now it's Chevron Oil, which is an American oil company.
Rebels. The main government.
Sorry?
It's not the rebels, it's the main government.
Yeah, no, I meant the main government. Yes, exactly. Thank you. The main government is being financed by Chevron Oil, actually. And the real key to bring down the Angola government is one thing, and that is pressure to force Chevron and Gulf to pull out of there. They have to pull out. So I think if that happens, and by the way, Savimbi is very focused on this too because he knows it's the issue. If that happens, then I think that the situation will be changed dramatically in Angola, and there's a chance. But so long as every single, I don't know if you can believe this, but every single Cuban soldier inside of Angola today, and I believe there's about 20,000, every single Cuban soldier allows the Cuban government to receive $52 a day from the Angolan government, and that money is actually coming from Gulf Oil. So if somehow Chevron and Gulf are forced to pull out, and then if somebody else comes in there, and if somehow that they start to bomb the oil fields and things, and people start to get scared and say it's not in our interest anymore, that would really be the turning point, I think. But until that happens, I don't think that it's going to be turned around. There's hope, but it can't really be turned around until the West stops supporting Angola.
So I have now an announcement. Mr. Mori is another testimony of Father's heart for Europe, because he basically had an opportunity almost to start a political action with IFVOC in his country. So he's definitely a person who can give a great input in our Causa work, especially in England. So but before he comes to the podium, I'd like to ask, as a request of President Kim, the following person to attend a meeting with him before, to have a general meeting at 4. So now you will hear Mr. Mori, and then after a break, please come back at 4 o'clock where President von Peking would like to give his closing remark. But if the national leaders or the Causa representative of each country, if the national leaders
それでは証でなくて 選挙の報告をしたいと思います。
This time, I want to report the result of election in Japan this time instead of testimony about the Japan.
昨日パク先生がお話になりましたけれども、選挙の結果は、私たちの支援する自由民主党が圧倒的に勝利をいたしました。
As Dr. Park mentioned yesterday, this time Japanese Conservative Party, Liberal Democratic Party really got a total victory.
1955年に自由民主党が結成されて以来初めての議席数であります。
Really, this is a very historical victory. Since this party was established, it is really, really complete victory. It was first time to get such a victory in this time.
それは300の数を上回ったのであります。
The seat number is 300 seats.
で、自民党の自由民主党の目標は257議席でありました。
Their goal was 257, but eventually they got 300.
それから今までの議席数は250でありました。
Then, so far, this party had 250. In this sense, 50 seats are there.
この衆議院の総数は511議席であります。
The all seat of this House of Representatives is 512 seats. Then 300 is
今回の選挙にお父様はものすごい思いを寄せておられたわけであります。
To father really concerned about this election very much.
3年前にお父様はこのように申されました。中曽根の後は、短い政権が続くであろう。
One day father said about the Japanese government after Nakasone, as you know, maybe short 3 Japanese government will realize.
で、そのうちの一人が我々統一教会を弾圧するであろうと、このように言っております。
One of government which will realize after Nakasone will accuse unification church.
特に経済問題で、ハッピーワールドに対して、弾圧をかけるという可能性がありました。
Concerning about Happy World, they will really attack this our economic movement.
そうすると世界の摂理が非常に難しくなるわけであります。
As you know, if we will be attacked by this government, our worldwide providence will be damaged.
それで日本の勝共連合では今年の初めからこの選挙のために準備をしてまいりました。
Because of this reason, our members of Japanese say VOC International really prepared for this election.
一つは勝共連合の700万という組織があります。
As you know, we have already the foundation of VOC, 7 million members.
で、そのもとに、そのために、450のブランチとそれから10万の班があります。
So for support this, to honorize this number, 7 million members, we have 450 branches and 10,000 and 100,000 group of small party.
で、日本の勝共連合では半年間、この班の組織を固めることに、集中してまいりました。
During 6 months for this election, really, our members really concentrate to organize this small groups.
で、このように700万の組織はすなわち、選挙のためであります。
So this
7 million member of VOC is really for the election.
で結局この小教の700万組織を教育することによって自民党を勝利させることができたのであります。
So, because of our good result to educate these people, because of this result of our members of VOC, this time we got such a big victory.
でもう一つの勝利の要因、それはすなわち中曽根総理の首相の信仰にあると思います。
So, I can say another point that why we could get such a victory, because Mr. Nagasone has a really maybe we can say his faith.
と言いますのは最も重要なメシアをお救いするための対策、これを中曽根総理はしたのであります。メシアを特赦するために働いて。
Really, Mr. Nagasone helped us to help through father to get at Danbury. I think to Mr. Reagan.
皆様ご存知のように、一国の総理大臣が一国の大統領に電話をしてくださったのであります。
So Mr. Nagasone phoned to President Reagan directly by himself.
でこういったことは普通一国のトップではできない。一国のトップが一人の宗教団体の主権者のためになすことはできないことであります。
So normally this is very impossible that one national leader to form another national leader, president, for one person who are religious leader.
もう一つは中曽根総理は日本の久保木会長と完全に一体化しております。
So Mr. Nagasone also really unite completely with our leader, Mr. Kuboki.
彼はこの、それからもう一つは、選挙の前にお父様は日本の国会議員を教育しなさいと申し上げました。
So before this election, Father gave us one direction to educate the member of parliament.
それで約60名の国会議員が韓国に参りました。
Then 60 members of congressmen went to Korea.
そこで、パク先生からカウサの世界の活動状況をお聞きしました。
So they really had a report about all our activity in the world about Causa from Dr. Park.
そして、ミスター小山田、ミスター梶栗から原理、そして小教カウサ理論を聞いたのであります。
And Mr. Oyamada, Vice President of Japanese Church, and Mr. Kajikuri gave also lecture of Divine Principle and also a VOC lecture.
で、彼はサインをしました。
So these 60 Congress member of Congress Parliament signed in one paper maybe after this conference.
でその内容は、自分は文先生、そして、国会長と共に活動したいと、そのような内容であります。
So they accepted that really we will work for Japanese Samyungun with Mr. Kuboki.
お父様の至上命令であります。この議員を必ず通さなければいけないということであります。通さなければ、このこれらの議員を絶対に通しなさいという命令であります。お父様のそうです。そうです。
So father really asked the leader of VOC that you must really make them members of parliament. These 60 member of this parliament.
で結局私たちは、衆議院において161名の議員を応援しました。
So we this time in this election we supported 160 House of Representative MP member of Parliament.
そのために私たちのシックが5000ないし6000名のフルタイムのメンバーが彼らに応援したわけであります。
So for this support or this election, 5 or 6,000 our members really supported for this campaign.
中曽根総理は久保木会長と約束をしております。
Mr. Nakasone had one promise with Mr. Kuboki.
もし今度の選挙に、勝ったならば、自分はもう一度2年やりたいという決意をいたしています。
So if Mr. Nakasone can get total win, victory in this election, he will continue again 2 years as a Prime Minister of the Japanese Congress.
自由民主党の規則は中曽根総理の任期は今年の10月で終わります。
Normally in October his period as a Prime Minister will over.
しかし今度の選挙を勝利することによっておそらく彼はもう一度自民党総理に選ばれる可能性が十分にあります。
So because of such a total victory this time, it will be sure he will be again the Prime Minister of Japan.
でもし自分がもう一度総理になった時には勝共連合が推進しているスパイ防止法を必ず通すとこのように約束しています。
So this is the promise that if he can be again the Prime Minister of Japanese Congress, he really pass the anti-spy law as you know in the Congress.
で、日本はおかしな国でありまして、スパイ防止法はどこの国にもありますが日本にはないんであります。
Maybe we can say in another word anti-spy law in France or in another country. But Japan is a very special country. Until today, we don't have such a law, meaning like a paradise of spy in Japan.
それでソ連や KGB あるいは共産党、社会党、すべてのマスコミがこれに反対してまいりました。
So for this new law, communists, of course, socialists, and KGB behind, all these communistic people really against to and stop to pass this law in our Congress.
しかし我々の運動によってすでに国会に提案されたのであります。
So this time, by our movement, this conservative Liberal Democratic Party put this subject to discuss in Parliament. At this point, we could reach it.
もしスパイ防止法が通りますと次は憲法を改正することが我々の願いでありまた中曽根首相の願いでもあります。
So if we can be successful, we'll be successful to pass this anti-spy law. So next our goal is to change our constitution.
すなわち憲法改正憲法は国の原理であります。国家の原理。
So constitution is very, very basic for our or each nation. Very important.
で、私の願い、それは何か、その国家原理に統一理論を入れること、すなわち統一理論を持って国家原理、憲法を作る、これが我々の願いであります。
So our purpose is to put our ideology, Godism, into this new constitution. This is our
しかもそれが今度の自民党が300取ることによって非常に可能になってまいりました。
So this time I explained already 300 seats. Because of this victory, now we can see future that we are really be able to get this goal.
それから我々のメンバー3人女性が立候補いたしました。
So this time 3 our sisters candidated.
これ誰も入ることができませんでした。
And unfortunately they couldn't be successful.
No problem. しかしあるシスターは7万の票を取っております。
The one sister got 70,000 votes.
普通の選挙では約4年間の準備を行います。
Normally, for one election, each member must prepare during 4 years to be elected.
しかし我々は今回はわずかに20日間しか準備をしませんでした。
But our member only 20 days.
次の選挙に向けて1年、2年していけば必ず多くのメンバーが通るということを確信するわけであります。
Maybe next 4 years, new election, we will prepare for this.
お父様は日本の国会議員200名を獲得しようというこのような言葉があります。
The father told us to make 200 member of parliament from our movement.
今の日本の状況は我々は十分にそれをなすことができると考えております。
So I believe that it will be really possible in future by our foundation and by our movement.
ということは日本におきまして70名の国会議員を握れば総理大臣になれることができるのであります。なることができます。
So if we can have 70 parliament of member of parliament, we can really have our prime minister with this foundation, if possible.
もし200名取ったら我々の願うところの人が総理大臣になるのはこれは良いであると考えられます。
By 200 member of parliament, really it is no problem.